I am thrilled to be here with all of you tonight. Thank you so much for having me. I do have a very strong accent. I was just sharing with the Women's Fund upstairs that I have been in this country for 26 years. I'm originally from Mexico City, so this accent is not going away. If it didn't go away in 26 years, it's here to stay, so bear with me. If sometimes you are thinking like, did she really say this or that? Give me the benefit of the doubt. Think about the good word that you thought first. Okay, I am thrilled to talk to you about something that I'm really passionate about, and that is collective giving, and how can all of us in every single community really be part of philanthropy. No matter our age or our wealth, no matter where we come from or where we live, we all can be part of philanthropy. So as Lauren mentioned, I am the founding CEO of an organization, a nonprofit organization called Philanthropy Together. And our mission is to diversify and democratize philanthropy through the power of collective giving. We are a global initiative that was born out of the desire of many people participating in giving circles across the US that a few years ago got together and we said, there's not a place for us involved in collective giving to learn from one another or to share best practices or to convene with each other. So back in 2017, a group of women, I was one of them, that were working with different communities across the US, we got a little gift from the Gates Foundation. And that gift allowed us to get 40 people together in Grand Rapids, Michigan, in the winter of 2017. And you might be thinking, okay, the winter. Well, we needed that gift to really, serve, to get 40 people together for 3 days. During those 3 days, we were thinking and dreaming about what was possible for the field. And after those 3 days, we saw that, there were very sophisticated giving circles and very simple giving circles. And we went back to the Gates Foundation and we said, we need something, but we don't know yet what that is, what we need. So we need more time. And they were generous enough to give us a grant. And we embarked in a full year of a co-design project that we involved more than 100 people. We had hours and hours of Zoom before Zoom was even popular. We always joke that we should have bought stock on Zoom because we had, many people around the country. And after that full year of this co-design project, we ended up with the business plan of a 5-year initiative, which is now Philanthropy Together. We presented to the Gates Foundation, they loved it, and they invested $2 million in starting this organization. So we launched right on April 1st, 2020, at the beginning of the pandemic, April Fool's Day. And since that day, I wake up every single day thinking I have the best job in the world, because I get to engage with people like you, with people all over the world that want to do something for your local community. You want to create change, you want to engage, and you're not waiting for the next billionaire to come and decide what are those causes that are worthy to support. So anyway, what we do in Philanthropy Together, our strategic focus areas are these 4. We showcase, we want to really change the narrative of who gets to be called a philanthropist, right? You don't want to be a millionaire, you don't have to be a millionaire. Of course I want to be a millionaire, everybody wants to be a millionaire, but you don't have to be a millionaire to call yourself a philanthropist. You don't have to be, after a successful career. You can be in your 20s, you can be a teenager, and you can come together with your friends to be a philanthropist. We also scale we want to scale the movement. So we encourage the growth and participation in collective giving groups across the world, giving circles and collaboratives. I'm going to be talking mostly about giving circles. And then, for the existing field in the US and across the globe, we want to strengthen it and to sustain it. So we offer trainings, we offer communities of practice, we offer webinars, we have a yearly convening online. Most of our programming is online because we want to be very accessible for everybody that wants to engage with us. And every single program and training that we have is free of charge. So please, after this, go on our website and see if there's anything that, catches your attention. So, yes, Lauren mentioned last year. Last year I was, privileged enough to be invited to talk at TED about this type of giving. And they didn't invite me because, oh my God, Sara is so cool. No. They invited me because this movement is really a force. And I'm going to share with you, the numbers that are behind this collective giving movement and the possibility that there is across the globe to really, engage hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people, and how can we move the needle in many, in many funding gaps. How can we make those funding gaps smaller? So there are countless models of collective giving, as you can see here. And I apologize because I just noticed that the white fonts are not very easy to read. But there are the social venture partners that many of you may be familiar with, these chapters of kind of giving circles in steroids that really go and support different nonprofits. There are flow funding circles, pop-up giving circles, donor collaboratives, giving days like Giving Tuesday and Erie Gives, et cetera, et cetera. So the million-dollar question, because you may be thinking, okay, is she going to talk about what a giving circle is? And yes, there are many different, the model is extremely flexible, but a definition that I love about what a giving circle is this one. And it comes from a network of giving circles based in Jewish values that are based in New York and in Israel. And it says, a giving circle takes your mind, talents, and financial abilities seriously and makes giving a collaborative social experience. They create caring, generous communities who act intentionally, thoughtfully, and strategically together. And I want you to focus on those three words, right? Intention, thoughtfulness, and strategic thinking, right? Because people that participate in, women's funds, in collective giving groups, in giving circles, they're not reacting. They're really learning about the different causes that they care about, and they learn and evaluate the different initiatives and organizations that they want to support. So the way they give is very, intentional and strategic. So even though the model is extremely flexible, there's few things that need to happen for you to have a giving circle. And the first one is to create a sense of belonging. This is not solo philanthropy, right? It's collective giving. So the very first thing you need is a group, right? A group that has shared values and really creates this sense of being part of something that is bigger than yourself. It can be a group of friends, it can be a group of colleagues, it can be a group of neighbors. It can be a group of very different people. People thinking very differently, but that they can get behind a cause that is close to their hearts. After you have that group, the second part is to open a space for discourse. Because I know how, overwhelming can be to think how you can make a difference in the world. But in a giving circle, you have the opportunity of learning together and sharing with one another your thoughts and your ideas. and coming, across a table with different perspectives. And we always said that in a given circle, you really need to come with an open heart and an open mind. Because many times, again, you can be sitting with someone and it can be a very good friend of yours, but you can be thinking completely different in many ways. But if you both care about the same cause, you can come together behind that cause. So the group gets together and they discuss, the common vision and engage in discourse. The third part is to give with trust. Giving circles and collective giving groups are rooted in trust. That pool fund that, for example, Lauren was talking about, the money gets pooled before the members even know where that money is going to go to. So there is trust in the process, there is trust in one another, and the whole idea is that also that trust will get transmitted and translated to the leaders on the ground. Because at the end of the day, we all know that we as donors, we can be experts in our field of work, but we are not experts in what is happening in the community. Who knows what is happening in the community? Those nonprofit leaders working on the ground. So we should always try to pass that trust to them and trust that they are going to make good use of the funds that we're going to give them. And sorry, because I just noticed that here it got caught, but it's trust at the root. And then the last, when the giving circles, they decide together, they evaluate different causes, different organizations, and they decide together where they're going to give that pool fund. And then the last aspect of a giving circle, and for me the most important, is after you give that gift, that financial, that pool fund, you act in abundance. So you engage beyond the dollars. And we talked about this in Giving Circle lingo, is giving the 5 T's. You give your treasure, which is your money, but you also give your time and your talent and your testimony and your ties. So we have seen many Giving Circle members that go and become, board members of the nonprofit that they have been supporting for a few years. You go and volunteer. You go and talk to your neighbors about this incredible organization that you are supporting because you want to elevate their message. So it's an abundance of generosity in all the sense of the world. And again, all of this, because you are doing this as a group, the impact gets multiplied by the group, not only the money, but everything else. So why do we think that giving circles are this powerful solution for what is going on in the world right now? We have seen that there are many different challenges and these challenges, this slide, I have had it before the pandemic. But if you think about it, all of these just got deeply ingrained in our society with the pandemic. So wealth concentration, the disparity about wealth is more and more, the gap is even bigger, right? We have fewer people with a lot of money, a lot of people with less money. So there's a lot of wealth concentration. I'm going to read this because I don't know if you were able to see it all the way in the back. So 115,000 plus private foundations and donor-advised funds hold $1.1 trillion in assets. Yet only about 66 billion reach nonprofits each year. There is a lot of money sitting in donor-advised funds. There's many people that open the donor-advised fund and then a few years later, they even forget that the money's there. So we need to move that money to make good in this world. Isolation, right? And this, with the pandemic, was even worse. A lot of times, we don't even talk to our neighbors anymore. We're very lonely. There is a crisis of loneliness, not only in the US, but all over the world. missing voices. There are many voices that are not seated at the tables where the decision-making process is made. So how do we bring those voices that are needed to have, a more robust discourse and conversations? Anonymity. There's a lot of giving going on digitally, but not a lot of accountability with nonprofits. There's a lot of polarization. As I said, my God, even with what we're reading as news, with all these algorithms and AI and social media, we are just reading what we want to read. We're getting fed information that is only what we want to read. So we become very polarized and very intolerant to listen to one another. And then, of course, of missing data, because a lot of these grassroots organizations and these informal ways of giving are not quantified, are not researched. So we launched, as I said, at the beginning of 2020. And this is just, a few happy people that we have trained about how to start their own giving circles. And there are people all over the world. So when we started, we were going to support the American Giving Circle model. And then suddenly, a couple of months later, when we literally had 20 followers on Twitter, we had some people from Germany coming to our trainings, and some people in China, and some people in Argentina. Why? Because we were all stuck at home. And we were all thinking, what is mine to give? How can I stop feeling, powerless? What can I do to do something for, my neighbors, my community? We saw a lot of mutual aid societies popping up, and a lot of people that wanted to start giving circles. And, the solution to all those problems that I talked to you about is not rocket science. It's people. It's people that really want to roll up their sleeves and do something, and not do charity, but create change. It's very different, the charity and the change. So really, learning, getting educated in the causes that they care about. And I was talking to the women upstairs at the Women's Fund that I love Giving Circle members because they are not regular donors. This research is from 2016, and it was done by the Collective Giving Research Group. And they saw that, 84% of giving circles give locally. And this is incredibly important because how many small nonprofits are in your local community? Those local tiny nonprofits are not getting the big funds from, the national foundations. The national foundations, they don't even know that they exist. So giving circles serve as seed funders for a lot of local small grassroots nonprofits. 58% of Giving Circle members are informed. They want to learn not only about the different causes and the challenges of the community, but about grant making, about philanthropy, about the trends, what is going on in the country, what is going on in other communities about this challenge that we're having here. 64% are social, right? It's a lot of fun. I always said that, the issues in our world are overwhelming and, overwhelming. Giving should be joyful. The act of giving can be joyful. And in collective giving, you get to do this and give with your friends, sharing a meal, sharing a glass of wine, laughing, creating community. And a lot of giving circles are connected, right? They meet every couple of months, every month, they meet socially apart from doing the work that they do. Another bubble that is not here, but it's good to mention, is that 60% of giving circles are ethnicity-based. So 70% of giving circles are led by women. Why? Because women tend to give more collectively and socially. But there are many, many giving circles popping up with different ethnicities and identities. So we have seen Jewish giving circles, Muslim giving circles, Black giving circles, Asian American Pacific Islander giving circles, Latinx giving circles, Latinx, LGBTQ giving circles, and all the combinations that you can imagine. So it's a group of people that get together around certain identity and say, we want to do something to change X. So again, what happens with giving circles and collective giving is those challenges that I was talking about get transformed into this. From wealth concentration, we go to wealth abundance. How? Because more people are giving. Giving circle money is new money, is not competing with foundations money, is not competing with corporate money, is new money. So we have a lot more wealth abundance and a lot more people, creating change in different communities. From isolation, of course, we create community. From missing voices, we have representative philanthropy. I was just also talking about this young woman in Arizona that decided to create a giving circle with teenagers, high schoolers. And she had a goal of having 100 teenagers being part of her giving circle. She has 180. And they meet every quarter, and they have a DJ, and they have some snacks, and they have some sodas, and they have been mobilizing. I think they have given close to $40,000 so far. Each kid gives $250. No, hold on. It's $25 every quarter. So they give $100 a year. And they support causes that they care about. So they have been supporting, organizations that work with adolescents that are, homeless. They work with organizations that are working with mental health and addiction issues in teenagers. And now this young woman, she's 16 or 17, she's training other teenagers in different parts of the country on how they can get started. So this is a model that is so easy because there's no rules. You literally invent your own rules, something that, it fits your group. On the other extreme, there is a giving circle in San Francisco inside of a social club that is called Battery Powered. And we move $3 million a year, 550 members, 3 levels of giving, $4,000, $25,000, $100,000. 3 different themes. Which one is more important? Doesn't matter. Because the idea here is the mobilization of everybody getting engaged. Again, from polarization, we go to shared values, anonymity to be really accountable to community too. And the missing data to aggregated impact, right? We're pushing as a field for research and for research institutes to really start taking count of the informal ways that people give. Because I don't know, for those of you that have young adults as children, young adults are not giving to nonprofits that much anymore, but they are generous. They're given in different ways, and we need to be able to quantify that and to capture that data. So collective giving is extremely powerful. Why? Because we are really changing the philanthropic sector to take back the power from the few to the many. When we really, put the power of philanthropy into all of our hands, we not only change how it's given, but what gets funded, right? Maybe we are not the organization that we care about is not the flavor of the month for, Elon Musk. So we cannot wait for someone else to do it. We have to do it. we really, are shifting mindsets about who is a philanthropist, right? Especially those that have been historically excluded from the sector. We move resources to issue areas that are chronically underfunded. I don't know if you knew this, but in the US, 88% of philanthropic dollars go to just the top 5% of nonprofits. So there are many, many nonprofits that are chronically underfunded. And then, of course, move resources to Black, Indigenous, and people of color organizations, leaders, and movements. That, again, research shows that organizations that are led by people of color tend to get less funding than those that are led by white leaders. And again, with Giving Circles and the women at the Women's Fund have seen this, you really shift the power dynamics and who gives and who receives. Because you really create a deep, authentic relationship with those nonprofits that you're giving. It's a very personal relationship, a very, it's kind of like a family. This is, I'm not going to go through this because it's a theory of change and they're always kind of boring, but well, you'll have the presentation. But it's the theory of change of how, collective giving really changes the individual, the group, and the community at large, right? As an individual, you learn, you connect, you pull your funding, you democratically engage with one another, right? You're making the decisions together. And for individual participants, it's really, kind of like an exploration in your own values. What are those values that guide your giving? Who instilled those values in you, right? Your parents, your grandparents, your teachers. There you get, educated about the issues and connection with different causes. You really learn about the strategic grant making. And there is a lot of community building and connection, right? And then, as I already said, about talking about different perspectives, and then you get increased civic and volunteer engagement. And that is key. Giving circles and collective giving groups are really civic engagement incubators. Once you get exposed to what is happening in your community, you cannot unsee it. And research has shown that people that participate in collective giving, they tend to join their PTO, join their neighborhood association, join the board of one of the nonprofits. Why? Because you want to learn more, you want to be more involved. And for society, you have more intentional giving, you have more connected and diverse communities, less polarization, and empower and active individuals. So where this whole movement came about. Giving circles and collective giving is not new, and definitely is not American. It has been going on for many, many centuries all over the world with different names. Like the whole idea of people banding together to create change is as old as humanity itself. But the movement, as we know it here in the US, began in the early 80s. And in the last decade, we saw a tripling of circles to over 1,600 circles upon that last research of 2017. Different networks of giving circles with a common affinity started to grow to provide this, connection among different giving circles. And there is more than a dozen networks right now in the US. And they are, women's giving circle networks, different race and ethnicity giving circles, youth giving circle networks, faith-based, cross-race, cross-class, or a specific circle model. So there are many giving circle networks that utilize the power of the 100, right? The 100 Who Care Alliance. So it's 100 people giving $100. So you get $10,000 out of the door. There's another big women's giving circle network called Impact 100. and it's 100 women giving $1,000. So it's $100,000 out of the door. So, again, build your own rules. And there are also, hundreds more giving circles, independent giving circles that exist, across all the United States. Giving circles that may have 6 members, giving circles that may have hundreds of members. I just went a couple of months ago to Florida, to West Palm Beach, and there's a women's giving circle that has 800 members. Yeah, and that was my face like, wow, yeah. And many that get started every day. So altogether, in the past 2 decades, the American giving circles have engaged at least 150,000 people and have given away as much as $1.3 billion. So every time when people say, oh, giving circles are cute, I'm like, no, we're not cute. I mean, we are cute, but we're pretty powerful. It is a powerful movement. And after that research, that's how Philanthropy Together came about. Because we have these very bold goals that in these 5 years of our existence, we're going to get to 3,000 giving circles, involving 350,000 people, and mobilizing another $1 billion. We are on track with the number of people, with the number of circles. With a number of dollars, we don't know yet because we didn't count with the pandemic coming on in the middle of the whole thing. But the new circles that have been started in the last 5 years, we have seen extremely diverse giving circles. And again, it's because this lack of funding. I share some numbers upstairs about the percentage of philanthropic dollars that go to support women and girls' causes. It's 1.9%. And if you think about women and girls of color, it's 0.1%. For the LGBTQ community, it's 1/3%. And I can go with the whole list. It's just the percentages are tiny. And you may be thinking, well, where is all the money going, right? Most of philanthropic dollars go to the endowment of big universities, to hospitals, and to the church. And I'm not saying that they don't deserve the dollars. Yes. But we also need to think about the many, many, many causes that don't get funded. Okay, we already saw that. So what we are seeing around the world right now, there is a lot of momentum. And again, why they invited me to TED, not because, oh yeah, she's cool. No, it's because we are making noise as a movement across the world. There are many very respected authors. Lucy Berholz, she's a professor at Stanford University, and she speaks about giving circles in her book. The Deloitte Monitor Institute has been talking about giving circles and the power of collective giving in their reports. Fidelity Charitable Habits also been, they're actually moving a lot of their strategy around how to start more giving circles in states where there is not a lot of funding for nonprofits as a way to galvanize that. So there's this focus of mainstream media and mainstream attention into collective giving. We see individuals really taking action to support causes that they really care about, right? The movement is global and it's growing. I was talking to Angela, and she shared that she's from Germany, and I was sharing with her that a couple of guys reached out to us after the first month that we started, and they said, we love this training. Do you mind if we translate all of your materials into German so we can start giving circles there? And we said, of course. So they have started, they have about 80 giving circles that got started in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. I also got a call, a couple of years ago from this woman from the Shanghai Community Foundation. And she said, we have 2 giving circles, but we love, your trainings, and it's a lot of fun because, we make it really fun because it's Zoom and people are tired of Zoom, so we are kind of like clowns in the training. So it is fun. And she said, I would love to translate everything. So they have, just their foundation has 30 giving circles so far. So all of our materials are now in German, in Mandarin, in English, and in Spanish. And we're in the process of translating everything to Portuguese because we saw some groups in Brazil that want to get involved. So this is, extremely powerful for us, how the momentum that is having all over the world. And then, of course, as I mentioned, more diverse giving circles are getting started, especially in communities that there has always been collective giving, but there has not been organized. So this is a way to organize it and also, to put the spotlight so it can be funded by other, by bigger philanthropy. And when I mentioned that a lot of giving circles serve as seed funders for grassroots nonprofits, it's not only about the money coming to them, but if I have a small nonprofit and I have been supported by the Women's Fund for 3 years, then I can go to a bigger funder and say, hey, the Women's Fund have been supporting me for 3 years. It's a seal of approval. So nonprofits can leverage bigger funding from other funders. So now we're going to do something a little fun. We're going to kind of think about starting a giving circle here, right? So how do we, when you're thinking about how to start a giving circle, where do you actually start? And by the way, we have like a 90-minute training every month for free, a lot of fun on Zoom. And I'm going to invite all of you to that, but I just wanted to give you like a little taste. So we start with the why. We always start with the why. Why do you want to start a giving circle? And then we're going to talk about how do you define the focus of a giving circle. So there are many reasons why people think about starting giving circles, right? It can be having fun with your friends, learning more about issues and ideas, giving to those overlooked by traditional philanthropy, making systemic change, gathering with friends and making new friends. I spoke with Linda upstairs, and she said that she joined the fund when she moved back to Erie, right? Because she wanted to learn about the nonprofits around here and meet new people. We have seen many newcomers to different communities that join giving circles as a way to create community and to meet community, right? And for community foundations, why community foundations start giving circles? There can be, the desire to have more knowledge about grassroots nonprofits. Because believe me that many nonprofits have been brought to community foundations by giving circles. Conversations about values and equity are very advanced because, again, it's people to people. There is increased understanding by community members of an issue and cause area. You want to have an engaged ecosystem of donors, right, around your community foundation. And then, of course, stronger relationships with or among existing donors. When a community foundation comes to us and they said, we want to start a giving circle because we want to get more donors to start donor advised funds. We said, no, it's not the right reason. And it's not going to happen. Maybe a few giving circle members are going to start a donor advised fund, but it's not a given. And then we follow after the why with a conversation around values. As I mentioned, it's very important that there is a conversation in the group about what are those values as an individual guide your giving, and what are those common values and shared values that we have as a group. And when finding the focus of your giving circle, you can focus on that North Star, that are values, right? And your values, there are many, many, many values, right? It can be justice, it can be kindness, it can be community, transparency, whatever your group decides. Or you can also focus your giving circle around an issue area, right? That it's aligned with the lived experience of your membership. Many of identity-based giving circles are like that. Or issues that your membership care deeply about, for example, women and families. Or it can be very hyper-specific, financial empowerment of women and girls in this neighborhood, or it can be super broad. It can be focused on a specific population. You can give to children, you can give to teenagers, you can give, to whatever you decide. And then also the geographic scope. It's always good to take into account all these different factors when you are starting a giving circle. The more defined that you can have that, the easier it will be to make decisions. Because the moment you are making the decisions, that's when you want to raise a lot more money to give to everybody. How big will the giving circle be? And how much will members contribute, right? And again, you can choose whatever you want. Kind of like a good size of a giving circle is between 25 and 50 members because it's very manageable. And even if half of the membership cannot come to the meeting, you still have a good group of people to make decisions. But again, there are giving circles with hundreds of people. In terms of financial distribution, the world is your oyster. There are many giving circles that have a floor donation, but not a ceiling. And that is very wise because that way you are not leaving money on the table. There are many giving circles that have a specific amount for all members. There are giving circles that have a sliding scale in terms of, ages of members or how advanced they are in their careers. There's this giving circle in New York called Rat Fund, and it's focused on social justice, and it's a group of very close friends. And they have a very unique model of contributions. They give 1% of their income, 10% of their income. So it's totally based on trust, right? Because I'm not going to come and say, okay, Karen, show me your W-2. It's, I'm trusting that everybody's giving what they are supposed to be giving. How often will the giving circle meet and give? How will the giving circle find and decide on groups to give to? So again, these are some of the questions that you pose yourself when you're starting a giving circle. You can meet more frequently, monthly, bi-monthly. There are giving circles that meet annually. So again, you decide what works with your group. And then for finding nonprofits, we always want people to give less work to nonprofits and do the homework themselves. Because again, these grassroots nonprofits, there are many of them that are led by volunteers. There are many of them that have 1 or 2 staff members that have 10,000 different hats. So if you as a group, as a given circle, can do the homework and do an invite-only application or nominate groups so you don't have like a big open public application when you're going to get 100 applications for a $10,000 grant, that is what we recommend. So I'm looking at the clock and I'm going to go fast, I promise. I hope you can join us in Launchpad. Launchpad is this 90-minute training. It's not on July 12th, it's July 18th. There was a typo there, but I promise a lot of fun. Our director of engagement, Aisha Wilson, leads those trainings, and she is a lot of fun. She's extremely dynamic, and if you think that I talk fast, she talks faster than me. We talk on those trainings about how you can use trust-based philanthropy in your giving circle and in your individual giving, right? By giving unrestricted funding, do the homework, simplify and streamline the paperwork, be responsive to those causes that you are supporting, solicit feedback and act on feedback, and then offer this support beyond the check. Because a lot of times, the beyond the check support is even more important than the grant itself. Like the doors that you can open for different nonprofits, they can maximize the funding and their influence. So it's a little bit of how we work at Philanthropy Together. Our philosophy, right? Always dig into your why you want to do this, what are your values, and have your values as a North Star. Lean into trust with each other, trust with the causes that you care about, and really be true advocates. Don't stop at the giving. Go beyond the giving. There is this super cool website that we put together. It's in 4 different languages, and it's very easy and simple, so you can explain to other people what a giving circle is and the power of giving circles. It's called whatisagivingcircle.com. There is a directory of giving circles that you can plug keyword of different causes or your zip code, and you can find a giving circle near you. And if there's not a giving circle near you, you can just start your own. And again, this is Launchpad. We have this convening that I mentioned to you, this virtual convening, We Give Summit. And on this website, we have more than 100 sessions of content, all in video from the past 3 years, 2021, 2022, 2023. The caliber of the speakers all over the world, incredible. So I invite you to take a look at that. And I know I'm focusing on giving circles tonight. Just wanted to give you a little something about another way of collective giving, which is a collaborative fund that some of you may know. And it's talking about collective giving, but this is at scale. So collaboratives build on these trends of really bringing more community voices into the grant-making process and focus on really do systemic change. So there are collaboratives. The collaboratives movement has been growing globally, and these collaborative funds and community-centered collaboratives, some of them move hundreds of millions every year. There is one that the TED community has that it's called Audacious Project. They move $1 billion every year. So it's a group of institutional funders or individual funders that get together to create these, attack these issues at a very big scale. And what we're doing at my organization is also creating a space for them to learn from one another, because believe it or not, even if they are moving billions of dollars, they still have the same challenges as giving circles. That is, how do we engage members? How do we create community? So collaboratives, just a few examples, they're community-led. They are also very local, issue-focused, and there are many that are global. Many collaboratives give globally, and some of them are extremely, extremely large.